Okay, so next up we have Cristian. Cristian, if you could turn your camera on, and we can throughout the day. Cristian, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Stefan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, sorry for the small technical issues. I'm well. Considering the current situation, I'm doing well. And you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I watched your video yesterday, and I really loved your little commercials.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know if I know I sent you an email in the middle of the night saying, "Hey, we should share some of these." So I don't know if you have any you could share, but if you do, we can get to it. Otherwise, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about what you're working on, and I don't want to tip the hand, but I will. This is one of my favorite use cases because it's an internal use case, so no one sees it really, unless you're working for a company that uses it. So it's going to be one of the sorts of things that like sneaks up on everybody, and then everyone's using it. And people are gonna. The average person's gonna be like, "Well, where did this come from?" So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you got into bots, and what you're working on.
Yeah. So my name is Cristian, and I'm managing a company that's called Aggranda, and we are building software robots. So these software robots are actually, they're not like physical robots. They are pieces of software that once they are installed on a laptop or a desktop or even on a virtual machine, they are actually mimicking humans. So they work exactly like a human would work. So usually these robots are they do have a name usually. They have an email address, and they usually have access in the applications where they should work. Once they are installed, as I said, it's pretty funny because you will see something like a ghost in your laptop that enters the applications. It types in fields, it downloads PDF files, sending emails, and so on. So we are doing this for about 2 years. We built dozens of software robots so far. We have a lot of use cases that we can show, and these robots are actually here to help humans to replace their repetitive and mundane and tedious work they do at their job.
Got it. Essentially, you sell time.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you give us a couple of examples of the type of robots that you guys are creating, and then how conversational are they?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So these robots can be built in any company. They usually help the finance and accounting departments, the HR departments, logistic and operationals, legal. Actually, it's anywhere where you have repetitive and mundane work. So everywhere where you can have a process like moving data from different applications that is not integrated with API, these robots fits very well. They can be controlled very, very well using the chatbots. So the chatbots are actually the interface of these robots. So other than tell the robot what to do for you with clicks, so you can just click, and specify the robot what to do for you. You can write to a chatbot. The chatbot understands what you say, and based on what you tell the robot to do, it starts an application in the backend and do the work for you. For example, you can have something like give me the reports in accounting for the last month. You type that in the chatbot, and the chatbot behind the scene goes and puts all the reports in front of you. And also for HR, when you need declarations, for example, when you are sick and you want to leave a paper for that, you can ask the robot. The robot verifies you, and after that it does all the work behind it. It puts the paper in front of you.
Got it. So,
hey, Stefan, I got a quick question.
These use key? Hold on. Yeah. So, are they using NLP on? Obviously, they're using it on the side where the person asks the robot a question, like, how much did we sell last quarter, or how many new employees did we hire, or something like this. The RPA itself, or the bot, do any of them also use NLP to learn information from a text or fix a text? I think a really good example of this would be Chase. They used to have this bot called Coin, and the bot acted like a lawyer. It would just go and it would review the contract, and it would just look for mistakes. And wherever it saw a mistake, it would fix it. And in their first year, they saved 360,000 hours, legal hours. Those are expensive people. So So I guess my question is, to what extent do the RPAs that you guys are building use NLP or language processing or understanding on both ends of it, where the bot is actually reading information and understanding it and creating some sort of meaning or output as a result, and then also me talking to the bot and asking it a question.
Okay, so we are doing the execution part. So we are integrated existing chatbots, any type of platform. For example, we use a platform that is called Druid, and we take that platform as it is, and based on the messages that the chatbot sends to us, we connect them together with the robot and with executions. So this NLP part is on the chatbot side.
Got it. And Dustin, you had a question?
Yeah. So actually, at Bot Copy, we've seen a huge growing demand, especially with COVID right now. Not necessarily chatbots for COVID, like actually asking questions like what are COVID, but a lot of corporate protocol recently has completely shifted. And that's like working remote, dealing with several things. And we've seen, I have a video of the case study that we did with Genentech, which is a Roche company. And I'm going to share an article here in the chat channel as well on that case study in particular. But we went from one department to rolling out to several. And each one of those departments has a different person that's interacting with the bot and building on top of that. What have you kind of seen from that perspective, and how can some of the people that are watching this right now help prepare? Because some of these departments don't even talk to each other, and now they're building kind of a bot together. And have you seen like a good use case or best practice as far as, teams working, collaborating with each other and growing kind of an internal bot? That you mentioned HR, you mentioned some FAQs at the employees. How does it all sync into one? Do you recommend doing one agent or having several different bots? What's your
okay, so
what's your strategy?
So these bots are based on the number of hours that you need in your organization, so in your company or organization or institution. So depending on that, you can have one bot or 3 or 10 robots. For example, we have a use case from a furniture here, and for that it processes orders, and they need to process all the orders before 2:00 because they will need to send them into production. And because of that, they grown very, very fast lately. So in the last 2 years, they have tripled the number of orders. And they started with a bot. And because of they don't, the robot is not able to process more orders in that time frame. They have just bought to other licenses. and they have scaled very, very easily. So depending on the only restriction here that you have is time. So a robot can do things faster than humans usually, but they because they act exactly like a human, sometimes they are blocked by the applications themselves. For example, if it takes for Oracle NetSuite application to load, I don't know, in 1 minute, the robot waits 1 minute to load that application. Okay, and during this period, we've had a couple of very good use cases. For example, an NGO from Romania, from here, was having a lot of volunteers that were signing up, and they wanted to help the hospitals. And it was taking very long to create the papers for the volunteers. So there was one person that was getting via email the ID. It needed to copy the information from the ID, put it into a legal contract, then send it back to the volunteer. The volunteer was saying that, okay, the dates, the details are okay. And after that, sending back, put a signature, and the volunteer can start work. So this is a very straightforward and very repetitive process that a human was doing. And it was actually someone from the NGO. And we've built a very small robot to take this process that saved 4 hours every single day. And that those 4 hours were actually like crucial in this period of time. I mean, anyone can use 4 hours much better than that.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What are you seeing that people are shifting as far as operations? You're freeing up 4 hours. Where are they applying those hours to? What other efficiencies or bottlenecks can they now attack?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Usually they move to customer service, so they stay more connected with their clients. They are talking more to their clients. The relationship gets stronger. And also on analyzing. So instead of creating the reports and spending hours on taking data from here and here and here and put it on a PowerPoint template, you have the robot that is doing that for you during the night. And when you are coming in the morning, you have the reporting done, and you analyze and take decisions. So these are some very good examples that we've seen. And it actually depends, because nowadays, at least in Romania, but I know it's almost everywhere, companies are looking for people, for smart people, and they have a lot of work to do. So that's not a problem. I mean, if they would have more people, they would hire more people. Yeah. So now we create like something very strong, because they have their people already, but they were doing this mundane work. For example, imagine that there are accountants that finished their faculties, and they were just copying data from paper to one system. So it was very frustrating, and they were very happy after they have stopped doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of moving just humans onto more human tasks instead of kind of robotic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Cristian, to what extent are these robots ready out of the box? And to what extent do they have to be configured? And is it like an out-of-the-box solution that's ready to go?
Unfortunately not yet, because these robots are 100% customized for each client.
Okay.
Because even if you have the same process, for example, let's talk about the onboarding from HR. So it's a very straightforward process. Every time someone comes to a company, they will need to have an email address, they will need to have the legal contract, they will need to have an invitation to go to the health hospital to make some checkings. They will need to have a laptop ready, and so on. So they have a list of things for every employee. Most of them are the same. So for this, even if the process is the same in every company, the applications are different. I mean, a company uses an HR tool, another one uses a different one. Even if there are two companies using the same HR tool, they have the process itself, the steps are not the same. Yeah, so every time the things are very, very different. So that's why these robots are 100% customized based on the client. There is indeed, so we use a UiPath platform to build these robots, and there is indeed a marketplace where you can find some components and you can take some steps from there. For example, I don't know, login in Salesforce and some reporting from Salesforce, but there are bits that you need to connect them together.
Got it. What's the what are really good use cases to go after, and what are bad use cases to go after? Like, what are the limitations? And you would say, okay, don't do this because it requires maybe something that's too qualitative. You know, like, we don't know. For example, let's say you had a bot that was trying to find the best articles on something, like too qualitative. Can you give like some examples? And then one of the questions from the audience, from Adriana, is, can you give an example with the legal industry?
Okay, so for the first question, when you choose to build a robot, go for, first of all, go for some very, very repetitive work. So a process that happens every single day if it's possible, or at least weekly. So don't go for processes that happen once at a month or once at a quarter. Yeah, so that's the first rule. Then go to processes that have a high volume of data. For example, if you need to process 30 invoices a month, that's not a good process because it's not saving a lot of time. But if you have 1,000 invoices every month or every day, that's a very good process. Go for mature processes, so don't invent the process in that moment, because you don't know the exceptions that can appear. If you have a process that it's running for about 6 months or 1 year, you already know the process, the exceptions. Try to pick the simple processes, not the complex ones. And this is something that most of the clients are doing a mistake here. If you would ask someone from a company, so let's say they have two processes. One process is taking 4 hours every single day, but the process is very, very simple for that person. So it's just move data from here to here. And that's the first process. And the other one is a more complex one, takes the data from 10 platforms and analyze something and create this report. And it takes only 15 minutes. If you would ask that person which process to automate, it will go for the second one. And that's a very common mistake that a lot of people and companies are doing, unfortunately. Yeah, they won't go for the simple process because they are used to it, and it's just, even if it's something that they usually hate, they are used to it. So it's copy-paste and but the one that it's complex and they hate it, they need to think about it and stuff like that, they will go for that one. So try not to go for complex processes. It's better to go for the simple that they are taking a lot of time to do them.
Got it. And then some use cases in the legal space that you're seeing, like maybe impactful ROI.
Yeah. So we don't have any use case so far in legal, but I know that there is a lot of repetitive work there. I would go for completing the documents, for example. where you have a lot of templates and you have data in some different files, and you need to create those documents. That's a very repetitive one. Then I would go for anything that is in terms of verifying data. For example, if you need to verify persons or companies in different on different institution websites, and this is manual work, you can put a robot to do these verifications for you.
Got it. Do these robots learn, or do they have to be updated?
You can train them to learn.
Oh.
So they can be trained to learn. For example, you can use machine learning to make them to learn, and they can learn based on the information that they used before. And you can create a database with, for example, if you use the IDs, and at some points using the OCR, they read O instead of zero instead of O. As a user, you will tell the robot that, okay, here is an O, it's not a zero, and next time the robot knows that.
Great. Dustin, do you have any questions? I know you always have good questions.
Yeah, well, this is one of my favorite areas, is internal chatbots. So it's good hearing from you and seeing that other companies are looking into it as well. I mean, it's important. I think the workforce is shifting. I think there's a lot of things that we do in the workforce that isn't necessary. And it's right now, the biggest kind of hurdle I've seen is for a company to quickly develop a team around these chat initiatives, whether they're conversational designers or back-end developers connecting like webhooks and things like that for specific API calls. It's interesting. And so just like to hear your perspective. If you were to create like a little dream team for an internal chatbot, who would you have on it? Would you have some legal, an HR person, a copywriter, and a developer, or what have you seen those teams look like?
I get here. Just jump.
Senor El Gato.
Sorry for that. Yeah.
Hired.
Okay, got it. So let's open it up to the audience and see if they have any questions. Right now, I have a great question from Thomas. Thomas asks, so with UiPath, must your chatbot be written in Visual Basic and live on .NET, or do you integrate with other systems?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the robots themselves needs to be needs to be on a Windows machine. So they are built on the .NET. And they need to be on a Windows machine. They can be integrated in with any other platform. So as long as you make an integration with them, usually, yeah, they are Visual Basic or .NET.
Got it. And what's the company called in Romania? That's one of the other. I keep on saying it, but I think you'll say it better than me. And then, if people want to find you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I'll put a link here, and also they will find some use cases and some examples that they can have a look for these robots. It will be much easier if they will look at the video.
Yeah, I really liked your video. Yeah,
thank you.
I was hoping that you would show a few snippets, because that was what really got me excited when I was.
So I think we can do that. We have one that we have just launched, and it only takes 2 minutes.
So why don't we do that for just 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then we have Alex coming up. He's waiting, and so
sure,
we can show the video real quick, and then you could let us know the best way to contact you. You can even get people
perfect
if you like in the chat.
Perfect. So give me 1 second to put the video here. see how this works. Okay.
Share your screen. Yep. And then let's mute our mic.
Oh. Yeah.
Aggranda. We create time in companies to grow.
RingCentral is a California-headquartered cloud communications provider, widely recognized as the leader in unified communications as a service. The company has won numerous awards for its achievements. Yet above all else, RingCentral cares about its people. Company leadership wants to ensure employees are maximizing their time spent at work, as opposed to wasting it on boring or mundane tasks. This is why Aggranda, with the help of RingCentral's IT department, has developed a UiPath software robot that assists the finance team with the revenue recognition journal entries process. The RingCentral colleague who had been processing the bulk upload of journal entries was spending hours during the closing periods repeatedly clicking the same button over and over again. By automating the revenue recognition journal entry posting process, the UiPath robot has now taken this menial, tedious, and tiresome job out of human hands. Let's see how the UiPath robot is handling the process. The robot logs in to the Oracle NetSuite platform and navigates to Create RecRec page. It selects the posting period and journal entry date. The updated results are being displayed. It selects the right subsidiary. Now it changes the transaction type to all, and it clicks on the Estimate button. The UiPath robot reads the estimated submission results and presses the Create Journal Entries button. It checks the submission status and periodically presses the Refresh button. The robot repeats the above steps for the next 3 hours until no more remaining schedules are found for the above input filters. When the robot presses Estimate and no longer finds any schedules to process, the transaction is complete. The robot does the same steps for all RingCentral subsidiaries. After the process is complete, the robot sends the reports to the finance team. Now, with this robot on their side, the team members at RingCentral's finance department can focus on more relevant work.
They say nobody can buy time. We challenge them. Aggranda. Time to grow.
Damn.
So I strongly
love it.
presentation. It was very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Cristian. And if people want to get in touch with you, they can do so at your website, or they can send you an email or other way. Feel free to share your details here. And then next up, he was actually our star NLP